Some big news out of Yankee land.
Great. You were right, Don.
What was I right about? What was he right about?
Yeah, what was I right about?
You just said you felt it was I said it's going to be a great Friday. And then you said, I see it going the other way.
No.
And then the next thing Michael said was in Yankee land. And I said, you were right.
You know what? Let me talk to you, Don, like he's not here. Almost like Nirvana, like it was yesterday. We talked about 2 hours of baseball, and I didn't feel guilty at all yesterday. Every time I talk baseball with clown shoes here, I feel like I'm cheating on him. Like, oh, gee, that's going to eliminate Peter from it. Too bad.
You shouldn't be thinking about me. Why should you worry about me?
Because you're part of the family.
Yeah, he's trying to make.
I don't want to put you at the kids' table. That's what essentially we do when we talk baseball.
That's not true. That's offensive and not true. Maybe you just think about the kind of topics that we do. Here, for example, let me hear what's coming from Yankee land.
Well, the Yankees picked up the option of Aaron Boone. So he is definitely going to be their manager. And I thought about all the hateful people that call in and blame everything that's wrong in the world. Everything, food shortages, everything on Aaron Boone. They blame everything that they don't like in the world on the Yankee manager. Right. And if they don't blame him, then they blame Cashman. Well, Cashman's statement was, Aaron is a steadying presence in our clubhouse and possesses a profound ability to connect with and foster relationships with his players. Consistently exhibiting these skills in such a demanding and pressurized market, what makes him one of the game's finest managers. Our work is clearly not done. But as we pursue the ultimate prize in 2025, I'm excited to have Aaron back to lead our team. Now, listen, I don't think Aaron's a bad manager. I think he's a good manager. But nowhere in that statement does he say he's a good game manager. No, that's why I believe that in baseball, how you manage men is the most important thing. And Boone manages men very well. They respect him. They play hard for him. And I think that's the bottom line in 2024 when it comes to coaching or managers.
Because there is no such thing, I think, in the analytic world as a good game manager. These games are all kind of dictated before it all happens. It's all ironed out ahead of time. There's very little in-game decisions that are made that aren't organizational. So what they want is someone that's good with the media, good with the day in, day out with the players, does all the little things behind the scenes well, working with those players. But as far as, the batting order, the things that drive all the fans crazy. Why is Judge batting second? Or why is Judge not batting cleanup? Why was this guy pulled? Why is this guy pinch running? Why didn't they steal here? All the things that make baseball fun, they've taken out of that. That's all been worked out ahead of time. Now, whether you like that or not is irrelevant. You have to start grading managers based on that. So for everybody that thinks he should be fired for Nestor Cortez coming into the game, even though we all agree that was the wrong decision, that's an organizational decision, not an Aaron Boone decision. So just live with it, man.
But Aaron Boone would push back and say it was totally his decision.
Well, then
now I would tell you, I would think that, all right, he's the one who made the ultimate call, but that was something that was bandied about and talked about and back and forth in the room with everybody. And the best matchup for Ohtani and the best matchup for Freeman is definitely Cortez in the situation. Now, it's obviously Aaron that makes the call, but I think that I don't think that they say you have to do it this way, but it's certainly gently suggested this is the way that works best.
Now, I'm sure we're going to get inundated with phone calls today. A negative reaction to this move.
Oh, you think?
Fine. You're entitled to your opinion. That's Sports Talk Radio. But what I would ask you, who do you want to manage the team? And you can't say anybody else. No, that's not an answer. If you think that Boone is awful, if you think a managerial change is needed, then I need a suggestion on who you want. Because then we can have a discussion, right? If you want somebody fired, who do you want? Who do you want to be the manager? You want them to get Bruce Bochy's not available right now. You want to bring back Buck Showalter? We'll have a conversation. But if you're just going to say, I want him gone, and then when we ask you, who do you want, humana, or I'll take anybody, that's not an answer. Give me an answer. And then we can have a discussion. Because you want to punish him. You want to draw and quarter him because he hasn't won a championship. That's what you want. You want him fired not because it'll make the Yankees better. You want him punished because he has not won a World Series since he took over. Tell me I'm wrong, guys. Tell me I'm wrong. That's what they want. They want somebody's head on a platter. They want him and Cashman's head on a platter for not winning. But if you ask them, all right, who's going to replace Cashman? Who's going to replace Boone? They don't have an answer because they don't care. They just want to see somebody pummeled for the fact that they didn't win a World Series, period.
The only thing I would push back on it all, I agree with basically everything you said. I think it does go slightly beyond the World Series. If you listen to our callers, it does seem like they have specific complaints. Now, you could argue the specific complaints only exist because they're angry about the lack of World Series. But, I mean, how many times this year, Don, at one point or another, did we hear a myriad of different complaints about Aaron Boone?
Michael will be able to answer this better than anybody. The complaints that they have, Michael, what the Yankee fan doesn't realize is that that's kind of the way everybody else in baseball does it. So you have a problem with the Yankees being analytical, but that's the world that we live in.
I think you have a problem with baseball in 2024.
Right, but and I'm not getting on Yankees. Met fans are the same way. Baseball's a regional sport. You focus on your team. You're not sitting there watching all the national games and understanding how the game is played elsewhere to realize that what the Yankees are doing, everybody's doing. So when the guy called, I can't believe Judge isn't batting cleanup. Yeah, because back in the day, your home run hitter batted cleanup. Nobody does that really anymore. Nobody. So stop complaining about it. The game is not all of a sudden going to become 1984. That's not how it works. So I think, Peter, you're right. They do have specific reasons, but ultimately it is they're looking for those reasons to get on the air to pick at because they don't like this guy because he took over for Joe Girardi when he was at that team, overachieved to Game 7 of the World Series, and since then, this is the first year that Aaron was able to get them beyond that. But otherwise, no rings. They want him out, just like they wanted Torrey out after what happened in 04. They hated Girardi, too, until he finally won, but then hated him after.
Now, here is Boone's statement. I'm grateful for the trust placed in me to lead this team. It's a responsibility and an opportunity that I will never take lightly. It's a great privilege to show up for work every day and be surrounded by so many determined and talented players, coaches, and staff members. Starting with the Steinbrenner family, there is a collective commitment to excellence within this organization that is embedded in all that we do. I'm already looking forward to reporting for spring training in Tampa and working tirelessly to return the Yankees to the postseason, compete for a world championship. Now, I would say this. You picked up his option. What else are you going to do? You can't just say, okay, he's the manager in 2025. That's not the way it works. There has to be more. There has to be. You can't let a guy go into a season as a lame duck manager. Now, I've always fought back on that. I don't understand why, but coaches and managers feel that they need extra years in order to do their job the right way and hold some sway over the players. My guess is that this is not it. There's no way they're going to say, I mean, talk about a lukewarm endorsement. I'm just going to pick up your option and that's it. And, by the way, if you believe the reports, Aaron makes about $3 million a year. Craig Counsell, whose Cubs had an awful season, makes $8 million a year. Dave Roberts is going to get a huge raise. Alex Cora makes $7 million a year. This guy's managing the New York Yankees. You think he's going to be content making $3 million a year when everybody else is making double? Everybody else of significance is making double?
So that tells me that they want him back, but they probably realize that there's might be a tough negotiation ahead. But we know he's coming back in 2025. They pick up the option, but it might take some time to iron this out because I'm sure, the Yankee fans don't agree, but I'm sure Boone's thinking, I could probably go someplace else and make more money. I've had success here, been above 500 every year, go to the playoffs pretty much every year, just came off losing in the World Series, went to the League Championship Series 2 years ago. Maybe I can get myself $5-6 million someplace else. So they're going to have to deal with this.
It's going to be an interesting conundrum, though, Don, because I believe that in the present day, the whole managerial salary structure was thrown out of whack by the Cubs, where they went out of their mind to get Craig Counsell. Because in an analytic world, I don't think they put the same import that Joe Torre is making big money back then, but Joe Girardi didn't make that kind of money when they reset and hired Joe Girardi because they don't think that the manager does as much as he used to do.
I understand. But, it wasn't like Council did anything in Milwaukee. They didn't win a championship. They didn't even go to a World Series.
But
They
he went
didn't
to the
League
playoffs with a
Championship
low-market team.
So now he goes to the Cubs, and by the way, not a great year with the Cubs.
Terrible.
So I'm sure Boone's thinking, well, maybe I can find somebody. Maybe there is somebody that will give me that money. I don't know.
Well, he's contractually obligated to actually fulfill this deal.
No,
but
I get it.
It would be a real slight to have him go into the season with just a one-year deal. You got to show more than that. If you believe he's the guy moving forward.
Sure.
And remember, it was on this date, however many years ago, that they hired him. And at that time, Brian said, we expect him to be here the same length of time as Joe Girardi and Joe Torre. Well, Joe Torre was there 12 years. Girardi was there 10. So this would be year number 8 for Aaron coming up. So do you expect him to be the manager for 2 more years and give him those years?
Right. But at what rate? Because is it possible, Michael, that they say, okay, we're going to tack on 2 more years after this, 26 and 27, for $6 million? So the same rate. And he might go, no.
No, I think he'd say no.
Yeah, so that's where it is. It's like I don't think he's going to fall all over himself to stay with the Yankees if he doesn't think the money's right. He's making $3 million now. He might believe he deserves a raise. Now, Yankee fans are laughing at that, but taking a look at the landscape of what he did compared to what Craig Counsell did, that maybe he's saying, hey, I want 5, and if you're not going to give it to me, then I'll see if somebody else will be willing to give it. Now it's a risk. But maybe there will be a team that says, I like Aaron Boone. I'll give him 5.
Well, it's interesting. Well, right now, most of the jobs are taken, I would think. So,
but not necessarily at the end of next year.
No, you're right. But I'll tell you a quick story about a heavily analytic team who had a pretty successful pitching coach whose contract was up. And then he saw what the guy from Minnesota made by going to college. I mean, he was making I think he got $750,000 a year to go to college. So a massive upgrade over what he was making with the Minnesota Twins. Well, anyway, this analytic team had a pitching coach that was pretty respected, and he came in and wanted bigger money. You know what they said to him? We made you with the information we give you. You'll know your place. So I don't know how that would be when it comes to a manager, because the manager does a lot more than a pitching coach. He has to meet with the media every single day, twice, before and after games. Has to deal with every single problem, injuries and stuff like that. But that is the cold-hearted nature of a true analytic front office. Hey, we made you with our numbers, so don't be pushing it too far.
But a lot of time, it's also the optics of the availability. So let's say Boone decides, no, I'm not going to take your extension. I'm just going to manage out 2025 and see what happens. And the Yankees end up having another successful season, maybe even win the championship. So the Yankees come back and don't offer a lot of money. You don't think there's a team out there that's going to want Aaron Boone and maybe give him more than the Yankees are willing to give him? Because there's a lot of teams out there, Michael, that would kill to have what the Yankees have had over the last 7 years. Kill for it.
It's thrown back in my face constantly, guys. And I said it, and I hold firm in what I said. And it's not because this is why the Yankees shouldn't get rid of him or why they should keep him, but so many Yankee fans have this vendetta against Brian Cashman. And I said once, if Brian Cashman was let go by the Yankees, he'd have a job in a couple of minutes. And they all mock that. They still mock that. Yeah. Well, we'll never know because he's not going to lose his job. And the same thing with Aaron Boone. If Aaron Boone lost his job with the Yankees, there would be teams lining up to hire him. There just would be. Because this job in this market is really, really tough. And everybody in baseball knows exactly how tough it is. And if you could succeed at the level of Cashman and Boone, you have gained the respect of people around the sport. I mean, Billy Beane, like the godfather of Moneyball and all that, has said that Brian Cashman belongs in the Hall of Fame, no doubt about it. They're very close friends, but he goes out of his way to always say that. So, yeah, if Brian ever lost his gig. Now, if he ever lost, Brian's a couple of years younger than I am. I think he's in his, maybe 57, something like that. So maybe after the Yankees, he said, that's it, I'm done. But if he ever wanted to go someplace, they'd be lining up to hire him. Right. Same thing with Boone. So Yankee fans think, these guys are awful. They're not awful. They're really highly considered around Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but obviously the Yankees are a different standard than, say, the Colorado Rockies. Right? So let's say he has a successful season, whatever that is in 2025. There'll be managerial opens this time next year. And maybe, again, I don't know what the Rockies feel about their future. But maybe the Rockies say, listen, I want to bring in a former Yankee manager that's managed in the World Series. I'll give him $7 million a year. I don't, because for some organizations, guess what? Aaron Boone's probably on the cover of their media guide. He might be the face of trying to sell season tickets. Listen, we got a winning manager who's won how many games over the last 7-8 years? Not good enough for the Yankees, but there's tons of other teams that would kill to have the Yankees last 7 years. Kill for a chance to lose in 5 games in the World Series. So, I mean, if I were him, I would probably bank on that. If they're just going to give me the same money that I've made and not any kind of a raise, it probably would behoove him to say no. Now, would the Yankees do that? We want you back, but we're going to have you back at the same rate?
I mean, they could try. I think they have to give him some kind of raise. But, I mean, the point is, are they giving him $8 million like Counsell? Are they giving him $7 million like Cora? Or are they going to offer him $5 million? I mean, I think Aaron knows his worth. But Aaron is also totally lockstep in line with the Yankee front office. So I don't know. And the Steinbrenner family adores him. And I know that Cashman trusts him. So I don't know if they would play hardball with him. But, again, are they diametrically opposed to paying a manager that much money? Because if you're a manager of the New York Yankees, which is arguably one of the toughest jobs in professional sports, and you take your team to the championship game, you lose, but you take them to the championship round, you deserve a raise, I would think, right?
Yeah.
You don't deserve to go into the last season as a lame duck manager, so he's going to make $3 million off the option year, but what's he going to make after that?
Forget about it. You said they love him.
They do.
And they want him to be here as long as Joe Torre was here. Well, then if you want him, you got to have to pay him. Right? I don't think there's any other way around that. That's how you show your love for somebody. That's how you show your worth to somebody. And he has. It was a controversial move at the time. You let go of a popular manager that had won with you as a player, won with you as a manager, and you let him go after Game 7 of the League Championship Series because you wanted to do better. And you went in and brought somebody that is a complete lockstep with you, is pushing the message through. And we've talked many times how many he probably bit his lip a lot in those post-game press conferences, not calling out players, not going old school. Doing your bidding, I think that's worth something. And you're going to take the chance of maybe losing that.
You know, tweeted out the statement the Yankees had when they picked up the option for Boone. And Sierra retweeted that and added, "The role of managers today confuses me. When I played, the manager's role was to win games, not be everyone's friend." Then I guess he got a lot of pushback. He said, listen, I don't think Boone is a bad manager, but when you ask about bringing your manager back, talk about how they make good baseball decisions, not them being a nice guy. But the key phrase in that, when I played, you don't play, you haven't played in a while, things have changed drastically.
You are arguing from a place of, quite frankly, ignorance. It's not the way the game is played anymore. Now, you might want it to be played that way. I wish it was played that way. It's not how I was brought up. It's not how the game is ingrained in my soul. But you just got to wake up and realize you are critiquing a game that is no longer played the way you played it. So either stop watching or make the adjustment and then start grading and start evaluating things on how they're doing it. You're fighting an uphill battle at that point. What are you doing? Don't be stubborn about it. It's unfair. Isn't it really unfair?
It's a little unfair. But part of the job is you're getting paid to take the hit. You just are. You are the face of the organization. It's a collaborative job, and you get paid a lot of money to sit there and explain it. They don't have to bring, one of the analytic guys down there to sit there and defend it. That's the job of the manager.
Well, that's
and to take total ownership of it.
Well, that's why I've always said the analytic people are gutless because they don't talk to the media. They don't.
Well, Brian does. Brian represents the analytic people.
Yeah, but the guys that are collecting the numbers, they're going to let the Boone's got to go out there and talk about how this is his decision. Which I'm not saying that it isn't in de facto his decision because he agrees with it. But he's going to go out there and he's going to say what I did, not we. He doesn't say we. Right. And there isn't some guy in a tweed jacket that's going to sit there and explain why 65% of the time it works all the time.
But he does get paid more than those people.
Yes. Good point.
To shield these people. But these are the people that you should be criticizing. These are the people that should be explaining to you why it's done that way.
But Brian gets paid more than the manager, and he does explain it. He talks more than most general managers in the city. He does explain it. He'll come on whenever we ask.
I know,
That's just him.
But it's every day. No matter what happens during the course of 162 games, immediately after the game, you turn on Yes, or you listen to their radio and you hear Aaron Boone explain why all those things happen. Yes, Brian will speak at the deadline. Brian will speak when we ask him to, and he'll probably talk, maybe a dozen times during the course of the season. Boone's going to talk 162 times during the regular season and however many post games there are. And he's going to talk all the time in spring training. Michael, he's the face of this.
Right. And they'll
More so
say
than
that's
anybody.
part of his job.
I give Brian credit. He talks way more than any other general manager. We've never even uttered a word to Leon Rose since he's been the Knicks guy. And he's great. And he's doing a great job with the Knicks. But we haven't spoken to him. He talks more. I've talked to Brian Cashman in the close to 30 years I've been doing this, Michael, more than any general manager of any team. And I've worked with some teams.
Yeah.
By far. And,
No, he's accountable. He
right,
really is.
But it's not at the level of Boone.
I want to send out congratulations